What's up, guys? BobbyFi here. I'm just waiting for Sheets to show up. Sheets may have some thoughts about the Preakness. I know he's out of town from Thursday through Sunday, so we'll figure that out. But I have no sweat. So any of you who have a sweat tonight, let me know. There's not much left to sweat, unfortunately. It's like a little tough. We're trying to find the right days to do this, but I want to say a big shout out to the Miami Heat. That was crazy. I'm really amazed by Butler. It's really like the whole culture. It's really crazy. Sorry, I was just talking about how impressive the Heat were.
Yeah, Tatum had a really, really nice performance in the second half, by the way.
Well, it didn't matter.
He was fantastic. Was it 5 straight turnovers or something like that? I mean, the difference between like Tatum and Jimmy Butler, I mean, like it's just like two completely different human beings.
I just don't understand how, like, I don't ever remember like a comparison. Like, there's nothing like it, really. Nobody who really just like, it's consistent though. It's been like for 10 years that this guy is like one of the best 10 players in the postseason, and he's not considered one of the top like 20 in the regular season. But I don't think it's just him. I think it's really, I do believe in culture. And Sheets, you could speak to this better than I do. You coach basketball. I think culture really matters. Like when it comes to NBA teams, especially, there is a difference in energy and like the way people play. And sometimes it's because you know you're going to win. And sometimes it's because you know you're an underdog. It doesn't matter, or whatever. There's a way the Heat are just consistently, like, I feel like you can put this roster anywhere else and it just wouldn't even matter.
Here's the other thing. So I don't know if this kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying, but maybe so, maybe not. Here's something that I've said on this podcast or whatever you call this, like several times. No. You don't even know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And this does have to do with my with my coaching history or whatever it is. So here's something that I don't think people really realize, because, you know, he had LeBron or whatever. Eric Spoelstra is fucking awesome. Okay,
he's the best coach in the NBA, and he's going to go down as one of the best in history.
He is so good, and I say that from like a coaching perspective. Like I would be like obsessing about like watching videos and like all these different coaches that like some of them put out videos to help out, you know, and whatever, and you pay for some stuff. Dude, this guy knows like as much about basketball as anybody in the world. Okay,
Yeah.
Like this guy is so freaking good. And you think that he's like, yeah, LeBron, so he just kind of struts through life, like, you know, whatever it is.
LeBron tried to get him fired like 10 times.
The guy is insane. Okay, he knows X's and O's and basketball concepts above and beyond like most people. Okay, like the only other guy, well, I should say other guy, because obviously like Brad Stevens, people knows his stuff, you know, whatever it is. But Eric Spoelstra, he's like really, I mean, legit good.
I think he actually is. I mean, he and Popovich in recent history of the guy still coaching, and Popovich just got a gift to him, so now they're going to be contending again soon. But I do think Eric Spoelstra is, like, if there was one coach I had to pick and I had a team that I thought could win, I would pick him above everybody else.
So I would like to say something about the baseball slate tonight.
I would like to ignore.
No. This is, you have to embrace this. Okay, so
I was actually great about them.
We talked to our new friend, whatever his name was, Josh Grisham, whatever his name was, in the chat today.
Yeah.
And the key number was trying to get 27 from pitchers in like a terrible slate. So I would like to announce for the world that in the 888, my entire lineup had 23.5 points. I thought that I would announce that to everybody. So for those of you that are looking for 27 points out of a pitcher, I literally had 23.5 fantasy points of all 10 players in the lineup combined. Baseball can be rough.
Yeah, and I would also like to clarify and say that anytime you get 27 points out of any pitcher at any price, you're totally happy with it, and you should move on. And if you lost, it's not because nobody ever lost because there's any pitcher scored 27 points. And by the way, Sheets, you would have won the low ball, so congrats on the low ball.
Yep.
You got the
Listen, I did have a couple. Like I said, I did have a couple of Cubs lineups that made me only lose like 90% of my money for today. So that wasn't so bad. But let me pull up. Let's just pull up that, and then we're gonna focus on golf. So let's just pull up and see who the lucky ones were that got this right in the 888 and then the fadeaway.
And we could probably go to the NBA showdown too.
Yeah, so let's take a look at that. I had a shot in the 2-day, by the way, for a while here.
Oh,
so
really?
The guy who won the 888 won by 20 points, which is not surprising.
Yeah,
but it wasn't from Boston. But it wasn't from Boston. I thought it'd be Boston.
No, he got the Senga and he got the right Cubs. Because again, I keep reminding people, it's about how you score runs. But it in this case, it was a little bit just fluky. You happen to have the exact right guys. He went all Chicago. That's an entirely Chicago lineup, I think. Can you go back 1 second?
Yeah, that's right. The whole town.
It's the whole Chicago.
The whole town.
All in there.
Gotta love it.
All right, you can slide down if you want to.
So let's look at some of the real lineups and see this.
And I'm happy to talk through my lineups that failed. I felt fine about my process. This Morel thing, I'm telling you, I've seen this before. This is so crazy. But there was that kid, he came up, he had 7 home runs in like 8 games in the minor leagues, so they brought him up. And then he had 17 home runs in his first 30 major league games. Dominic Brown for the Phillies. And he was 28 years old. He wasn't a high-level prospect ever. And he was like 6'5". He was too tall. And he just hit 17 home runs in 30 days. And my whole thing was, hey, you can believe in hot streaks or not. I'm just going to bet on the same guy who keeps making me money. That was one of my early DFS. Hey, I won a bunch of tournaments in the first in 1 month, you know.
Chris Bassett had a nice game.
Chris Bassett, I loved my pitching combinations.
Bassett had a nice game.
I only ended up with 35% of Strider. It was such an obvious play. I was just like, okay, just in case he does anything but.
Right.
But if I had one lineup, he would have been in it. If I had 2 or 3, he would have been in one of those 2 or 3, even with 2 pitchers. That makes sense?
Let's see who ended up winning this 2-game NBA. It was a tie.
But not much of a tie, a 2-way tie. Let's figure out how this 2-way tie happened. Oh, that was last night.
Yeah, 2-game slate.
Oh, this is the 2-gamer.
This is the 2 games. I didn't play the showdown. This was
Caleb Martin was a good one, but like I'm still surprised.
What's his name? Robert Williams had like 20 fantasy points in the first half. He ended up with 24.
That's what happened. That's what he does. He's gonna get them all in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But then every now and then he has like 3 5 minutes.
All right. So I have a flight tomorrow. Let's talk about the golf. For those of you that did not notice, I did update the projections for golf. I would like to again just emphasize what I'm doing in the big buy-in. I announced I was doing this, and I'm going to stick to it. I am going to be playing Bryson, and that's going to be that. And what that's going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me, for better or worse, to not give a crap about ownership for the rest of my lineup. That's one thing. But I still think that I'm going to be kind of a pain in the ass about who I play. I
actually think this is like the toughest for me.
Oh, it's really hard.
There's 2 guys who I'm just like looking at everything that I felt the most comfortable with, which are Neiman and Fleetwood.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else feels very just like, and Rahm. But like Rahm, like you have to win you know what I mean? It's a tough thing when you get into that price range. But Neiman, Fleetwood, and Fitzpatrick you got it. Fitzpatrick was the next one for me.
Dude, let me tell you.
He's not in my 44.
This is like such the freaking Sheets freaking.
Be careful with Jason Day. I just want to say something about Jason Day. I decided to go. I'm a big fade on Jason Day. he just got there. I understand he may have played the course before. They've changed it. It's very confusing when you're coming off a win and you just got there. I tried to limit my exposure from players from the previous tournament. That's my personal thing.
I'm just gonna
and Terrell Hatton, who I also love, it's not that I don't have exposure to them, but like this is to me a big deal. I think some other players are playing for this tournament. I like this.
Dude, I'm telling you, these are I'm just gonna be shuffling these guys in that I like. So I'm not know exactly I'm gonna come out, but I'm just gonna keep flashing these guys, right? Like Homa.
Homa to me is more of a far-fetched one. I love him, and he's an LA kid, and I hope he wins. And I think he is one of the better golfers, and the price seems too low. But that's true for almost everybody.
Yeah.
Burns, I feel like almost the same as Homa, but yeah, keep going.
Burns.
I do like Burns.
Cam Young. I mean, like these are.
Yeah, but like Burns versus Cam Young, for example, are like you're getting essentially the same expected outcome, and one guy's 1,000 cheaper. So Burns should have Cam Young. I actually like them. You got it right now. That I actually like them if you play them together, because I do think there are some like young guys who could, not blow away the field, but dominate or do very well, and they are two of them. The Bryce thing is hard for me to comprehend, but I still have a bunch of it. I don't really know why. I have no explanation for why I'm doing it.
Me neither.
But I'm doing it too.
Me neither. But this is what I'm doing. I'm not playing the best guys. I'm not playing Scheffler. I'm not playing Rahm. I'm just not doing it. I like playing these dudes. You know what I mean? And I like playing 6 of them.
Yeah.
And that's just that's how I will always play these things, and that's where I'm going to end up. I could certainly do this. Like if I didn't want to play Cam Young, I could play Rahm and totally like play guys. I mean, like I could play Chalk. Wyndham Clark is a tremendous play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could play him. You could play Russell Henley. I could shuffle this around and play Neiman. I could certainly do that. And who knows? Maybe by the end of the day, I might
Neiman and Mitchell, and then you've got a beautiful little lineup.
Yeah.
I actually think that actually is like, if I'm looking at this lineup, I'm going, if there's 2 other ways I can go, because I think Neiman can win this tournament.
Yep.
Really do. I'm not saying he's going to. I also think Mito can win.
I just wonder though if like Mitchell is just kind of biting off more than he can chew in this type of tournament.
So why not go to the guy who led this tournament by 9 strokes on Sunday?
No, the Mito.
Yeah,
like the Mito.
I'm into Mito, and I have way too much of the good night Raquel, as we call it.
Yeah.
Like the Mito and Neiman together.
Yeah.
But mostly it's been very good to me. That's been one of the better things,
Yep. And listen, I made fun or whatever, but Im kind of fits a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, I like him actually too. It's just a matter of whether it's just all the guys around him. I
might just play them all. You know what I mean? It's like
right. And I've heard all these insider, like I was listening to a bunch of podcasts all day long yesterday and today. And all I can hear is that, Cam Smith is really struggling with his driver. He's really struggling with the angles. I'm like, well, that's exactly what they say every time Cam Smith is teeing off at an event. I love Cam Smith.
Yeah.
He won't be in my 44, but he will be in my 88 or my 888. And I did want to like give a little shout out to like FanDuel, because it's like $100K for first for once, which it should be because it's hard to get it right. But I do like the idea that you can play like Rahm and Scheffler and still have a good lineup, You play Rahm and Scheffler with Hatton, Clark, and Moore and Woodland. Those are all good.
Now, what were you talking about with Hatton again? What, he just showed up? Is that what you're saying?
So my issue is I loved Hatton to start the week. He was one of my favorites. The problem is I don't like people who played the week before and were sort of in semi-contention.
You don't have to sell me on that idea.
But also because this is a specifically hard course, and most of these guys have been there for a week already.
Yep.
That's a real thing, don't you think? I don't play golf, but I'm imagining it's got to be a big deal.
Yeah. I happen to think the Cantlay is a solid play as well. I'm not playing him in the 444. I'm just not spending that much.
Yeah.
But I think he's solid enough. I think all those guys are solid. You know what I mean? I don't really need to play Finau, really. But
it just seems weird, like 2 weeks ago on like a different course, but it was similar-ish enough that Xander somehow ended up like 3% owned and everybody else was popular. And now he's going to be like the chalk. I just don't really understand. I'm still trying to figure out that part of golf. I understand it with baseball, recency bias, winds blowing in. Maybe his fastball's got 2 miles an hour left, so everybody wants to think he's terrible. Maybe he just wants to pitch to more contact. Like, I understand all the other thoughts. I just don't understand it with golf, why people are so hell-bent on this guy is like, you need to play this person.
I'll tell you this, man. These two $7,500 guys, Ricky Fowler and Wyndham Clark, are getting just pounded.
I'm playing Ricky Fowler in my 44-44 right now.
I'm thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are getting pounded. And they're really dominating this range. I might, if I play this range in the 444, I might end up playing Henley just to be a pain in the ass.
But you don't need to be like an extra. I just want to
point. I don't need to be if I have Bryson. You know what I mean? I just don't.
Yeah, like, and by the way, Bryson's highest ownership will be in the 44-44 of all of the other tournaments. You know what I'm saying? But it will be like 4%. Well, maybe not. It could go the other way. Every now and then I'm wrong. I think there's other smart people who think a little bit the way that you do.
I don't think so. I think it's a terrible projection play, and I think that's what people are gonna. I think that in the 444, people are gonna. They're gonna be playing like all the Wyndham Clark.
Here's why he's a terrible play. Because even if he plays well, do you really think often enough does he outperform Mito and Neiman? And Mito's cheaper. Neiman's more expensive.
I think he like wins sometimes. That's the problem.
But I think Neiman wins. I actually think that both those other guys win more of the time. I understand what you're saying. But I couldn't resist the fact that those other two guys are like elite and have proved it on really, really tough golf.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Consistently. But like, and the one thing Bryce hasn't done is done that. But I am still playing him because I believe there is an angle he'll find.
Yeah.
See, look at it. You could play the
do whatever I want.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, but you could also the Finau thing is hard for me to wrap my head around, but everybody, same thing, every tournament sheets, like he's always 20% owned. He usually makes the cut and finishes top 25. He's won 3 tournaments in his life. Like, I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time with it. Look at this price range too. You get to pay up for everything. See, this is where I probably would use one of those guys. Yeah, either Hatton or Burns.
Right.
I love Tom Kim also. The problem is he played last week. I swear, if he didn't play last week, I'd be so in on Tom Kim. Right now, he's in my 44 to be honest, because he hits the ball straight and far consistently.
Yes, he does.
And that's all you need. And he's 20 years old. Like, and there's going to be wind and there's going to be things. And he does, like, I don't know. I'm struggling with that one.
Neiman versus Fleetwood's a fun conversation, huh?
No, because I just play them together.
Play them both. Yeah, that's it.
I don't want any piece of it. Every now and then I'll throw a Corey Connors, and then I'll make sure to throw a Corey Connors on the other side, just in case,
Right.
Or you get the 8100 of who's 8100? There's somebody there I liked. Oh no, I don't like Sahith. I like Burns, or you move up to Lowry or Fitz. I really like Fitzpatrick for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But it's weird because you have to like train your eyes. But like if we're already off the chalk, why do we need to think that way? And that's what I can't get around golf. Like I get my early ideas and I'm like, there's no way I'm playing a guy who's fucking 30% owned or 25% owned or whatever. Fitzpatrick is going to be in the high buy-ins, 100%. He's going to be 20 plus.
I mean, you got Hatton right there. I mean,
They're gonna play Fitz ahead of Hatton.
You think so?
I really would be surprised. That's why it makes like guys like Hideki and Homa such good plays.
Yep. Yeah, you love the Hideki at 2%. Like
I'm not actually playing. I'm playing him like 8%, but like I'm not actually like. It just seems dumb to me, you know. I feel like he gets like the least respect of any great golfer. And before when he won the Master Sheets, you know what his ownership was in the big buy-in?
What?
0.42%
In the
for the million that week. So he was 2 people played him.
I'll tell you something else. You know what's like? You want to know what's sort of preventing me from playing Scheffler or Rahm in my big buy-in? Because I really don't know which one to pick. You know what I mean? Like, and if I do that, like, if I play like Scheffler and Rahm wins, I'll be pissed. But if I play neither of them, I won't care. You know, it's
This is, but honestly, like to be honest with you, like for every elevated event, every event they really show up for. No, maybe the right strategy is just the same one you had at the Masters.
Yeah,
you just keep it to a small pool, and if you fade the 2 top guys at chalk,
yeah,
I just don't. I really don't think you can lose if you do that all the time. I don't have the bankroll.
Let's discuss something else that I want you to give you the opportunity to either double down on this take or backtrack off it.
Yeah,
I'd like to say that Rory McIlroy is legitimately going to be only 10% owned.
Yeah, it's interesting that his ownership dropped. It made me a little more interested, so I just got with the field. Okay. But my plan is to get to try to get overweight. I still I still believe in this strategy. If you really believe there's guys who separate themselves, like then play the cheap guys. Somebody's gonna have a fire around, and find your 12 cheap guys that you rotate, and then for the big buy-ins, find the ones you trust the most. I'm not saying it's the right way. I'm just saying it's worked well enough. I'm a profitable golf player now because of this. But I don't know like how it's justified, even that percentage. Like I feel like if you looked back through every tournament, even including the one Rory won, like for 3 years, it would just have always been wrong to play Rory. There's just too much ownership.
Yeah.
And there's always more than it seems like. But at the same time, like I think everyone's sort of thinking the way that I am, and that they're just off of them. Because how do you not play Rahm or Scheffler for? But I thought the same thing at the Masters, and Rory was 30% owned and didn't make the cut.
Nope.
And Scheffler played the worst round other than the last
-9, right? It's like
he finished T9, and Rahm, of course, won the tournament. So, I don't know, man. It's tough. If there's a guy who can compete with these guys of the other guys, you got them in your lineup right now. I don't know about Bryce, whatever, but like in terms of guys who can win the tournament like a reasonable amount of the time, Fitzpatrick, Homa, absolutely. I don't know for sure about Homa yet with this specific course. That's my only thing I'm weighing in, and I do have some Homa. Yeah. But I realized, like on FanDuel, I was deciding between Homa and who did I decide between him? I actually thought that Hatton was a better play, but he was cheaper. It was between Homa. Oh, okay, so it's the worst course for this guy, and I understand that you should avoid these things and all this stuff. But like, if you're playing max lineups, if you're playing 150, if you're playing even 50, if you don't have more speed than the field does, I think it's a mistake. Like it's just, guy, you know what I'm saying?
Guy just shows up, man. I mean, like
it's consistent actually in a weird way. He's so inconsistent, but at the big ones he does show up. Yeah. And I also probably have a lot more Brooks than you do.
Yeah.
I've got terrible friends who insist to me that he's by far the best player in the world. I just laugh, but like they really believe that, and they know what they're talking about. Like, but I can't understand it.
I currently am playing 150 lineups, and I don't have a single one with Brooks. So.
Well, so here's how we can both win. Bryce can win the tournament, and you can win the 44-44, and I can win the $25 with my Brooks and Bryson combo.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds right?
Sounds good to me. Party at Sheets' house.
I'm in. I'll be there.
It's good to me. All right. All right. I'm gonna go because I'm gonna shuffle these and put these in. And for those of you that have been watching, I mean, again, my big buy-ins, it's gonna be some combination of the guys that I've been cycling through here. I don't know exactly what it's gonna be, but at 7 a.m. you'll see it.
I know this answer well enough to I think answer the question. But do you have any early advice? We're getting a question for the Preakness.
Yes.
You do? I was wrong.
Yes. I do have something. There's a horse that is currently 6-1, who is, in my opinion, clearly the most likely winner.
Which one is it?
I don't know if he's going to go off exactly that, but right now he is, and it's National Treasure.
Oh,
it is.
Did he race the Derby?
I don't think so. He's the one horse. I think he's. I mean, listen. There's no such thing as a lock, but he's the most likely winner, and he's going to be probably 5-1. So, for me, that's not. I mean, I don't. It's not like the biggest value in the world. You want to know the truth, because there's not that much else in the race that you can bet. But if you ask me, for a Preakness bet, I think that he's clearly the most likely winner, and he's probably going to be the third choice. So there is that.
I love that, and I wish he was lower odds because I want to make a bet right now. Anyway, Sheets, thanks, man, for coming and hanging out. I hope you have a great trip. You're going to Florida, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, have a great time down there.
And I'll update everybody on the MMA when I have that lineup set also.
All right. And remember, I'm coming to visit this summer. So,
dude, 100%.
All right. I'm in.
All right, later.
All right, guys. Good luck. Have a good night.